Hi, back with another review. This time I'm looking at the Spyderco Para-Military 2. This is model number C81GP2, and it is a collaboration between Sal and Eric Glesser, father-son team, Sal being the owner of Spyderco. Great knife right off the bat, let me say. Awesome knife. You've probably already seen 101 reviews on this. Well, here comes 102. Just a tremendous knife and a really great value. There are a few variations on this knife. They come with, this one's got the black G10 handle. They also have a black blade. There's a Digi Camo model. There is a couple sprint runs out there. So there's one that's got a blue handle and a different steel. That one escapes me at the moment as far as the composition. And then there's also an orange G10 handled model that's coming out with CTS XHP steel. So that one should be coming out pretty soon. I've actually got that one pre-ordered, and I'll make a video when that one comes in. But it comes in a few varieties, you know, a little something for everyone. This one I actually got for Christmas of 2011. It was a gift from my wife, and she paid about $90 for it, shipped from Amazon.com. And average price you'll pay probably closer to $100 to $115, including shipping. If you search around on a good day, you might get it for a little bit less than that. So do shop around before you purchase it. But for what you get, not too expensive. So I've had this one, you know, about 3 months, and I've put in a decent amount of time with it, I think, to where I can offer up a fair review. I've carried it quite a bit. The specs on it: we've got a blade length of just under 3.5 inches, and the blade thickness is 3.5 millimeters, or just a hair over 1/8 of an inch. So pretty thick stock, and you can see it comes to a real thin tip. Excellent at piercing, excellent at penetrating. If you're cutting packages open, this can be your go-to blade. Very well designed and very pointy. Overall length is 8 1/4 inches, and weight is 3 3/4 ounces, 3.75 ounces. Blade steel, CPM S30V, as you can see there. And just for some quick close-ups, of course, we've got our Spyderco Bug logo, Spyderco name brand there. We've got Sal Glesser's maker's mark, Eric Glesser's mark, and then this knife was made in Golden, Colorado, USA, on planet Earth. Nice little silly touch they put on their US-made knives. Blade shape, drop point, Spyderco shaped, I don't know, whatever you want to call that. It's a great design. Spyderco knives can sometimes be hard to describe as far as the blade shape goes, but it's a great Spyderco shaped blade. It's Para-Military 2 shaped. Blade grind, as you can see, is full flat ground, and it's just really well machined. It's been really well ground. The lines, the fit and finish on this are awesome. Really excellent. Handle material, of course, G10, and these are skeletonized. So you can see a little bit of the liners, the stainless steel liners inside have been milled out a bit to save on weight a little bit, and it's nicely done. It does have a mild sandpapery texture, which I find very effective. It's pleasant to hold. It's not too rough or aggressive that it feels scratchy. If you have dry hands, or if it's real cold out, it doesn't feel irritating. It feels very comfortable, smooth but grippy enough to where you're not gonna lose it. It's not gonna slip out of your hands, I would imagine, even if it's wet. People always like to hear about jimping. For me, not a big deal, but it does have jimping, and Spyderco's is really nice. It's effective without being too aggressive, without being too sharp or pronounced. So there's a little bit, as you can see, at the back of the steel liners at the handle there, and there's some at the base of the blade at the thumb ramp, and then we also have some in the finger choil. So if you move your hand up a little bit further onto the blade, you get a nice grip, and it does catch on those. I'm fine either way, but it's very nicely done if you're a fan. So that covers jimping. I think the handle design's great. It's a large handle. You can see that the handle compared to the blade is quite a bit larger, and I read online a lot of people don't like that. To me, I think it's excellent. I think, you know, the ergonomics, the grip, and how it feels in your hand is almost the most important part of a knife, because regardless of the blade shape and regardless of the grind and how well it cuts, if you don't want to hold it, or if it's irritating to hold, you know, why bother? You're not going to want to carry it. And so I think first and foremost they went for comfort. If you want to move up closer onto the blade, you can, and it feels great. If you want to back up and get a little bit more reach, or if you're not doing something as where you don't need as much control or precision, you can do that too, and it still fits very comfortably. It's the handle of a larger blade typically. And for a quick comparison, let me show you my Benchmade 806D2 review coming on this very, very soon. You can see that their handle sizes are pretty similar, even though the Benchmade has quite a bit longer of a blade. And I think that was a really good idea on Spyderco's part. I think it's really effective. So if you're looking at it and you think it looks odd or off, don't worry about it. Once you try it, you'll know immediately why they've done things the way they did. The edges are gently, lightly beveled, so they're not completely squared, and they're very comfortable. The G10 is smooth expertly along the edges, and the curves and contours are very nicely done. You can see that even right here at the base or pommel of the handle, it's curved enough to where this, even if you're resting your hand on it, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt when it sits against the joint of your finger. So they really put a lot of thought into that handle, and it's one of my most comfortable knives that I've ever carried. So high marks right there. As far as little extra features, they have this ginormous lanyard hole, and it's got that big tube or space or whatever you want to call that. And paracord just goes through here like nothing. There's just so much room in there. It's almost ridiculous. I almost would have liked it a little bit smaller, but super accommodating. So for you guys that love a lanyard on your knife, you know, go crazy. You're ready for anything there. You could put more. You could double up paracord. You could probably triple it and jam it through there. Of course, we do have a pocket clip. It's a Spyderco. Most Spyderco folding knives do. I think they only have a few that don't. And it's a great clip. I've got mine in tip up. It did come tip down, and it is four-way positionable. So you've got tip up, tip down, and left and right hand carry. All of those positions are available. So they've covered all the options, and the clip is very effective. A little bit of the knife sticks out, but I don't care. You know, what's that, about 3/4 of an inch, maybe almost an inch. But it hasn't been a problem. It doesn't stick out so far that it's going to fall out, and I'm not worried about hiding my knife. So I do like the clip. It sits a little bit lower and tip down, as you can see, as it's a little bit farther along on the handle if you decide to leave it in that position. So if you do like it to ride a little bit lower, go with tip down. But, you know, either way, whatever you like. Overall balance is very nice. It's very well balanced front to back. It doesn't want to teeter back or forth in my hand. It's not blade heavy or handle heavy. The opening mechanism is, of course, Spyderco's round opening hole, and this one is pretty large and very comfortable. For a comparison, here is the Spyderco Tenacious, which also has a large opening hole, but let me see if I can put them up side by side here, and you can see that the diameter of the Para-Military 2 is quite a bit bigger, and I've used this with my work gloves, and it opens easily with gloved hands. So comfortable with bare hands, or if you're wearing gloves. So that's always good. Pivot smoothness is wonderful. Super smooth, opening and closing, just snaps right out, closes with no problems. And speaking of closing and opening, I do like to use a little thumb flick to pop it open, and typically I will close it a little bit slower than most folks. We've got that compression lock, and I'll push that over with my thumb and then pull the blade down, reposition it, and then close it the rest of the way. But for people who do like to flick their knives without, you know, using the conventional method, you can squeeze the compression lock with your index finger and just flip it closed that way. And you can also open it the same way. I'm not very good at it because I don't usually do it that way, but you can. And of course, you know, the middle finger opening and the spider drop, all those are, sorry if these aren't coming out just right since I'm doing this on camera, but all those are available, all those are possible. Just, I do it a little bit the old-fashioned way. No wiggle, wobble, play, nothing in any direction, completely flawless. I don't know if I've seen a better example. It's just remarkably solid when it's opened, and even when it's closed, you know, the detent is nice and strong, and it's not going to shake out of the handle with inertia, with, you know, flinging it or throwing it or anything. So it stays in until you want it out, and once it's out, it locks out very positively. It's not going anywhere. I have every confidence in the blade and the handle and the design. This knife is built to last for years, and I expect it to do exactly that. As far as holding an edge, I haven't sharpened it too much. I've only in fact stropped it a few times. This is the factory edge on mine all the way since December, and I've used this almost daily. This has been one of my most heavily used EDC blades for months, and it's required almost nothing, just a light strop now and then, and I've probably used it 100 times since I've got it. So it holds an edge very well, and this is actually my first knife with S30V, and I really like it. So as far as long-term use, long-term sharpening, I actually can't speak on that exactly, but I can say that once it has an edge, it doesn't want to go anywhere. The fit and finish, if I didn't say so already, is remarkable. Just completely expertly designed. Very well centered blade. The grinds are excellent. No hot spots, no little rough patches, no burrs in the metal. Just from one end to the other, from tip to tail, just wonderfully machined, and a joy to use and hold and carry. As far as what you would use it for, I use it for everyday tasks: cardboard boxes, packaging, food, a little bit of whittling on wood. So whatever you want to use it for, I think it'll do the job. Of course, Spyderco is super popular, and they have a lot of fans, and with good reason. They make great knives at good prices. I do wish some of their designs they would bring in with a bit more affordable of materials. They tend to use some of the latest and greatest steels and handle materials, and I know that's kind of Spyderco's signature, but they have so many great designs that I wish those of us who don't always have a lot of money to spend could kind of get in on those designs without having to save for months at a time. And I think that the Para-Military 2 kind of sits on the low end of that. So at around $100, it's not going to be the least expensive knife you've ever owned, but it's not so expensive that the average working person couldn't afford one. So try one out, for $100. If you hate it, you can always resell it, and you're not going to lose any money on it. Similar knives that Spyderco makes, of course, include their Endura, which you can see has a very, very, very similar handle length, but a longer blade, and it is a bit slimmer, but not by much. Of course, for this, right here we're looking at a $50 to $60 knife versus a $100 knife. And then, of course, one other comparison that you're probably going to see a lot of is the Tenacious that I showed you earlier. And you can see that though it has a shorter handle, the blades are very similar in the grind, in the length, and even they're pretty similar in shape. And for $30, the Tenacious is hard to beat. But if you want something that's perhaps a little bit better machined and a little bit more comfortable, actually to me quite a bit more comfortable, I would say that the Para-Military 2 is definitely deserving of the higher price tag and is well worth your money. So I could ramble on forever, with tons of different comparisons and little factoids of how I've used it and how much I love it, but you've seen all the reviews. It's just excellent. It's well made. The materials are great. It's backed by an awesome company, and it's probably one of their best designs. I don't own the original Spyderco Military to compare it to in this video, and I wish I did. But for me, when I was deciding on this knife, it was a gift, but when I was deciding what knife I might like to receive, I chose this over the Military because I do like that it has the repositionable clip. I rather like tip-up carry in my knives. And I also wanted to try out the compression lock, which I think is a lot of fun, and I think it's a really excellent and safe design. So if you're looking for something a little bit different from your usual standard folding knife and you haven't already checked this out, please do try out the Spyderco Para-Military 2. I think you'll really like it, and it definitely comes highly recommended. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.